What happens when one of the world's biggest tennis stars starts sharing the spotlight with a rising 20-year-old? That's exactly what happened when Alex Eala arrived at Wimbledon. Just months earlier, she was known as a promising young talent, but after a series of fearless performances against top-ranked opponents, everything changed. Fans, media, and former tennis stars began asking whether this was the start of tennis' next global superstar. At the same time, Aryna Sabalenka entered the tournament as the world number 1, carrying the pressure and expectations that come with being the player everyone wants to beat. Meanwhile, Eala's interviews attracted massive online audiences, her practice sessions drew huge crowds, and Filipino supporters traveled from around the world to cheer her on. Tournament organizers quickly realized they had underestimated her popularity. While Sabalenka was focused on defending her place at the top, Eala arrived carrying the hopes of an entire nation. And just days before Wimbledon began, she produced a performance that made the entire tennis world believe this was no longer just hype, it was the beginning of something much bigger. Only days before Wimbledon, Alex Eala gave the tennis world another reason to believe the hype was real. She captured her first major grass court title with a calm and confident performance, proving that her recent success wasn't just a lucky run. Grass is one of the most challenging surfaces in tennis, yet Eala adapted quickly, showing maturity far beyond her years. The victory instantly changed how experts viewed her chances at Wimbledon, with many now calling her a serious contender instead of simply a promising young talent. For Filipino fans, it was another historic moment that confirmed their belief in her journey, but the trophy wasn't what created the biggest headlines. It was what Eala said during the celebration that left millions of fans proud and made her connection with an entire nation even stronger. As Wimbledon drew closer, it became clear that Alex Eala wasn't just winning matches, she was changing the atmosphere around the tournament. Wherever she appeared, fans gathered hours in advance, hoping to catch a glimpse of her practice or secure a seat for her matches. The energy surrounding her felt different from almost any other rising player on tour. Broadcasters and tennis analysts began pointing out that her popularity had grown far beyond the Philippines, turning her into one of the most talked about names of the season. Even tournament organizers started paying closer attention as the demand to watch Eala continued to rise. What began as excitement around a talented young player had evolved into something much bigger. But the biggest challenge of her career was still waiting on the other side of the draw. By the time Wimbledon officially began, Alex Eala had already made history before hitting a single competitive shot. She became the first Filipino woman to arrive at a Grand Slam as a seeded player, a milestone that reflected years of hard work and steady progress. It wasn't just a personal achievement, it was a moment that inspired millions of fans back home and showed how far Philippine tennis had come. Tennis experts who once described her as a future prospect were now discussing how deep she could go in the tournament. With confidence at an all-time high and expectations growing with every passing day, Eala had the perfect opportunity to prove she truly belonged among the sport's biggest stars. But the draw ahead promised challenges that would test everything she had built. What makes Alex Eala's rise so remarkable isn't only the victories, it's the way she's handled every challenge along the way. Even after difficult losses, she has remained calm, taken responsibility, and focused on improving instead of making excuses. That mindset has earned her respect from fans, coaches, and former players alike. Every tournament has added another chapter to her journey, making her stronger and more confident against the world's best. With each performance, the belief surrounding Eala has continued to grow, and many now see her as one of the brightest young stars in women's tennis. But the biggest opportunity of her career was still waiting, and the entire tennis world was watching to see if she could take the next step. For many young players, stepping onto Wimbledon's biggest courts can feel overwhelming. But Alex Eala appeared ready for the moment. Instead of letting the expectations distract her, she embraced the challenge and continued playing with the fearless style that had brought her this far. Every match carried the hopes of millions of Filipino fans, yet she stayed focused on one point at a time. That calm approach, combined with her growing confidence, convinced many tennis analysts that she had the potential to make a deep run. Still, the toughest part of her journey was only beginning, and one unforgettable performance could change everything. As Alex Eala's confidence continued to grow, one name stood above all the others: Aryna Sabalenka. Fans everywhere began wondering what would happen if the young Filipino star eventually faced the world number 1. It wasn't just a battle of rankings, it was a clash between one of the sport's most established champions and its fastest rising talent. While Sabalenka entered Wimbledon determined to prove why she remained at the top, Eala arrived with fearless momentum and the backing of millions of supporters. Tennis experts knew that if these two stars met, it could become one of the most talked about matches of the tournament. And with Eala playing the best tennis of her career, the possibility of that blockbuster showdown suddenly felt more real than ever. As Wimbledon moved forward, all eyes remained on Alex Eala and the possibility of a dream showdown with Aryna Sabalenka. Whether that match happened or not, Eala had already accomplished something few players ever achieve. She captured the attention of the entire tennis world. Every victory added to her growing legacy, while every appearance brought even more fans behind her. The question was no longer whether she belonged on the biggest stage, but how far she could go from here. If she continued this incredible rise, Wimbledon could be remembered as the tournament where a future superstar truly announced herself to the world. And if a clash with Sabalenka finally happened, it wouldn't just be another match, it could mark the beginning of tennis' next great rivalry. No matter how Wimbledon ends, Alex Eala has already changed the conversation in women's tennis. She is no longer seen as a player with potential, she is now viewed as someone capable of challenging the sport's biggest names, including Aryna Sabalenka. Her fearless style, historic achievements, and the unwavering support of millions of Filipino fans have transformed her into one of the most exciting players on the WTA Tour. Every tournament now brings higher expectations, tougher opponents, and greater pressure, but Eala has continued to handle every challenge with remarkable composure. From winning important matches against elite competition to proving she can compete on every surface, she has shown that her rise is built on hard work, confidence, and consistent improvement rather than luck. Looking ahead, the challenges will only become greater as the world's best players prepare for her aggressive style and growing confidence. But that is exactly what separates good players from future champions. If Eala continues to improve at the same pace, she could soon find herself competing for the biggest titles in tennis and perhaps even standing across the net from Aryna Sabalenka in a Grand Slam final. That possibility no longer feels impossible, it feels closer than ever. Whether she lifts a Grand Slam trophy this season or in the years ahead, one thing has already become undeniable: Alex Eala is no longer chasing recognition, she has earned it. Every tournament she enters now brings higher expectations because fans no longer see her as an underdog. They see a player capable of challenging the biggest names in women's tennis, including Aryna Sabalenka. Her fearless style, relentless determination, and calmness under pressure have turned her into one of the fastest rising stars on the WTA Tour, while her growing success continues to inspire millions of fans around the world. The road ahead will only become tougher as the world's best players adapt to her game, but every challenge has made Eala stronger. Each victory has increased her confidence, and every setback has helped her grow into a more complete player. If she continues developing at this pace, a Grand Slam title will no longer seem like a distant dream. Whether she faces Aryna Sabalenka in a future major final or creates even more unforgettable moments along the way, one thing is already clear: Alex Eala has announced herself to the tennis world, and this remarkable journey feels like it's only just beginning.